Virgo, welcome to your monthly horoscope for April 2026. My name's Adina. I'm an intuitive astrologer. This is a pretty big month for you, Virgo. This month, there is a lot of focus on your eighth house, your ninth house, and your seventh house. This is not a light month. This is a month of serious decisions, emotional transformation, and relationships shifts. So, some of you may be dealing with financial decisions or having to make decisions around your relationships or even life direction. Now, before we get into it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you align with my energy and enjoy this content. So, as soon as we come into the month on the 1st, we have the full moon in Libra. This is lighting up your second house of money, finances, material possessions, your self worth, your values. This is a time where you could be making decisions around your finances, or something can be coming to a head around your money and your finances. I do have a separate forecast going deep into the full moon energy. If you want to check that out, it's on my channel. I go over the chart for the full moon and then also into all 12 rising signs. But this is a time where you may need to balance your finances in some way. We want to remember that Libra is rules balance and harmony and fairness. And so things can be coming to a head at this time so that you have to create balance within your finances. This can also be a time where there is something closing, something completing so that you can start new streams of income or bring in new streams of income. Now, on the 3rd, we have Mercury forming its final trine to Jupiter. Mercury is your chart ruler. So you feel these Mercury transits more so than others. Mercury is currently in your 7th house of relationships and one on one connections. So there's something that you've been navigating and sitting with when it has to do with one-on-one connections. It doesn't necessarily mean you're a marriage partner or close personal love connection, although it absolutely can because that's in the 7th house. But this can also be business partnerships or just any close one-on-one connections. Mercury stationed retrograde the end of February, but we had the first Mercury trine to Jupiter earlier in February, and then we had another one during the Mercury retrograde, and then this is the final one, and Mercury is in the post shadow period. And so, whatever was initially activated, um, Jupiter's in your 11th house of friendships and social circles. And so, whatever was activated, whatever you were sitting with, or whatever was coming to your awareness with the Mercury trine to Jupiter over the retrograde period, now you're making a decision. Now you're gaining clarity. Now you're developing an understanding. There's finally forward movement, which is nice. Now, also on the 3rd, we have Venus square to Pluto. Venus is in your 9th house of your belief systems, higher education, higher knowledge, long distance travel. So when Venus forms a square to Pluto, this can be something intense showing up around your finances because Venus is the ruler of your 2nd house. This can also be power and control dynamics around finances. And that can look like, possibly with relationships, coworkers, because Pluto is in that 6th house of employees and coworkers. And so for some of you, there could be power dynamics going on with coworkers and employees. It could have to do with money. It could have to do with just values in general not aligning. And then because Venus is in the 9th house, I don't recommend traveling at this time. Um, because of this square, these days, I don't recommend traveling. But this could be where maybe you're having to navigate something around going back to school, or your belief systems are being judged or questioned in some way. And then on the 5th, we have the Sun square Jupiter. The Sun is in your 8th house of shared resources, intimacy. The 8th house rules, money coming in from outside resources like loans, debt, taxes, inheritance, also your partner's finances. The 8th house also rules your deepest fears, psychological healing and transformation. So kind of like the 3rd house, the 8th house has like a lot in there. It's got a broad spectrum of stuff. There's quite a lot packed in that 8th house. And so when the sun forms a square to Jupiter, this can feel it could feel like financial overwhelm at this time. Like I mean, for some of you, this could look like getting in way over your head with something financially. So I definitely don't recommend getting out alone because there could be way too much interest, or you could be not seeing the fine print and there's like all of these extra fees. So just be a little bit cautious at this time doing anything with your finances because when we have squares to Jupiter, it's too much of something. We become very overwhelmed or we overpromise or overcommit to something that ends up like really overwhelming us. So it's just a day to be a little bit cautious, especially with your finances. And then on the 6th, we have Venus forming a sextile to the North Node and a trine to the South Node. So Venus is in your ninth house, forming a trine to the South Node in your first, and sextiling the North Node in your seventh house. And so this is where there could be a decision that you're finally moving forward with or an opportunity. This could have to do with the relationships. This could also have to do with finances. You could be, taking action, or there could be opportunities coming in around your finances or around relationships at this time. But we want to remember that the lunar nodes are very faded, very karmic energy. So whatever is coming in on the 6th for you, um, it has to do with a new direction that your soul's meant to experience in this lifetime. So just, this is a day. Pay attention to your conversations. Pay attention to the opportunities that are coming in. Pay attention to who you're meeting and who is coming into your world on this day. Who's showing up at the door? Who are you getting the phone call from? These are all important things that you want to hang on to and pay attention to for the 6th because they may be very important down the road. Then we get to the second week of April, and on the 9th, Mercury finally leaves a shadow. We finally gain some clarity and understanding in this area of life. So you've been going through a lot of reevaluation and a lot of contemplation when it has to do with you and your one-on-one connections, what you need within partnerships, how you connect within relationships. So now, you finally start to make some decisions. You finally, gain some clarity in this area of life, which is going to be nice. We also have Mars entering Aries. And so Mars is going to enter that eighth house. This is where you can get super money motivated, but this is also where we want to be a little bit cautious. Mars is that planet that can be a mixed bag. Yes, Mars can bring in, ambitious, motivational, driven energy, but Mars can also separate and sever and bring in conflict and bring in challenge sometimes. So you just want to be a little bit cautious. This is in your eighth house of, psychological healing and transformation, money coming in from outside resources, your partner's finances. And, on the 13th, Mars is going to form a conjunction to Neptune, which then can bring in a little bit of confusion. So I definitely wouldn't be making any money decisions on the 13th because there could be something that you're not seeing clearly. And then on the 14th, we have Mercury entering Aries. So there becomes a lot of focus on money coming in. I mean, if you have an online business or you work with clients, this could be really big for that. Like you could be rolling in the dough, you could be making some big financial moves. But again, you want to make sure you're seeing things clearly just because of the Neptune influence. Then we get to the third week, and on the 16th, we have the sun forming a conjunction to Chiron. When we have personal planets connect to Chiron, this is where we can get triggered around old vulnerabilities or old traumas, some inner wounds. And this is where you could literally um, be triggered around or be dealing with something that has to be you feeling misunderstood or something around your vulnerability, something around not feeling seen, not feeling heard, not feeling good enough. You could experience, even imposter syndrome. We also have Mercury forming a conjunction to Neptune on that day. And so, again, this is a day, Mercury is your chart ruler. So, this is a day you don't want to be making any big life changing decisions because Neptune blurs boundaries, Neptune makes things confusing. However, this is a good day to dive into your intuition and your creativity and do something along those lines because Neptune's really good for spiritual, creative, energetic, pursuits. And then on the 17th, we have the new moon in Aries at 27 degrees. And so this is going to be a really good time to set intentions around money and finances, developing more clients, bringing more money in, new streams of income that you want to develop. This could be really good for healing, transformation in some way, because the eighth house is very transformational. And then on the 19th, the sun enters Taurus. So some of the eighth house energy starts to shift into your ninth house. You start to think more bigger picture. The ninth house is bigger picture, higher wisdom, your belief systems. You may feel like traveling now with more energy in the ninth house. And we have Mars forming a conjunction to Saturn, and this can be a little bit challenging. This is both malefic planets. So this can be very heavy mentally. Mental health is in the 12th house, but mental health is also in the eighth, I find. And this could be a little heavy. You may have to deal with something, overwhelmed, like you may be mentally overwhelmed. You may have to deal with something around your finances or debt or loans. And so don't make any big commitments on this day. Saturn does rule responsibilities, commitments, but Mars, um, it's just both malefic planets, right? And so it can be a mixed bag. It could really go one of two ways. I mean, you could be super motivated to, be establishing some really solid financial foundations, but Mars can also sever things and separate. And so you have to look at both kind of avenues with what can happen, what can manifest. And then on the 20th, Mercury is going to form a conjunction to Mars. This is where you could experience like inflammation on the body. Not all of you, but it's definitely a thing because Mercury is your chart ruler. But you could also be really driven, really motivated to start, taking action, moving forward in this new direction, with these new financial plans that you're making, whatever new path that you're moving into, now is where you finally start to take action. And then we get to week 4, and on the 23rd, Venus is going to form a conjunction to Uranus. And this will be, the final personal planet conjunction to Uranus and Taurus. At this point, Uranus is still going to be in Taurus because this chart is for after Uranus moves into Gemini because I wanted to get Uranus in Gemini for the final week. But this will be the final personal planet conjunction to Uranus in Taurus. So this can bring, unexpectedness around your finances, around your self-worth. So we do want to watch for that. Watch your spending on this day. Watch anything that's around your money because Uranus can bring in very unexpected, situations and experiences. And then on the 23rd, 24th, Venus is going to enter Gemini. And I put 23rd, 24th because at my location, Venus literally enters Gemini at midnight. So depending on where you are in the world, Venus could enter Gemini on the 23rd or the 24th. And Venus is going to enter your 10th house of career and public reputation. And so this is where you can really start to have some career opportunities coming in, or you could start meeting people that can help you down some new avenues for your career. You could start making more money within your career. This is a time to ask for a raise. So yeah, Venus in the 10th house is nice, especially for you too, Virgo, because Venus rules your second house of money and it's in your 10th house of career. So this is a really good time to start making those moves around more money, career opportunities. And then on the 25th, Uranus is going to enter Gemini. So Uranus is not going to bring in any change, in one day or a month or even a year. Uranus is an outer planet. So Uranus brings gradual change. And Uranus is going to completely change your 10th house. So mark my words, what you are doing in your job or for a career right now is not what it's going to look very different 8 years from now. Uranus completely transforms these areas of life that Uranus is transiting. And this is your public reputation. This is your house of career, your job. So it's exciting. It's definitely exciting. Uranus is going to bring in, a lot of unexpected change, but Uranus is also the awakener. Uranus brings this change in to put us on a path that is a part of our purpose and journey we're supposed to experience in this lifetime. Now, also on the 25th, we have the sun square Pluto. So the sun is going to be in your ninth house, squaring Pluto in your sixth. This is where you can experience, power and control dynamics or intensity around your belief systems or religious beliefs or traveling. Like this may not be the best time to travel. I would say this could be quite transformational, but it's not going to be easy transformation. Like there's going to be a breakthrough, but it's through some type of a challenge. And then on the 26th, we have Mercury square Jupiter. And again, this is where you want to be careful of overwhelm. Mercury is your chart ruler. Remember when we have squares to Jupiter. So, yeah, we want to be careful of spending and finances and money because Mercury is in that eighth house. We want to be careful of maybe not committing to anything financial at this time or even really committing to anything because this is where you can like overcommit to things and then you become very overwhelmed. It's like mental overload. So you just want to be a little bit cautious on this day. And then we also have Venus sextile Neptune. And so this can be really nice for career opportunities, money opportunities, meeting the right people at the right time. Neptune, however, we want to make sure we are seeing things clearly. We're not seeing people with rose-colored glasses. We're reading, all of the dotted lines and the fine print because it's Neptune. So I would say, yes, there could be really beautiful opportunities coming in, but we just want to be careful because it's Neptune. And then on the 28th, we have Venus trine Pluto. This can be really beautiful transformation for your career, for your money. Venus rules your second house of money and finances and is in your 10th house of career. Pluto is a planet of transformation. So the 28th is literally where you can have a leveling up in your career. You could receive that big raise that you've been waiting for. You could get that promotion. You can start that business. Maybe this is when you post a video and it literally goes viral. This is a day that could be extremely transformational for your career and for your money. And then on the 29th, we end the month with Venus forming a T square to the nodes. So this is where there's like a big decision that needs to be made. And Venus is in your 10th house of career, squaring the south node in your first house and the north node in your seventh. This can be, tension with career and relationship. And this could be you needing to make a choice. It's almost like for some of you, I feel like whatever big opportunity the 28th brings in, it's like your partner may not like it, or you may need to make some big changes, like maybe move, or maybe, whatever. And it's not going to be like that for everybody. But it's where there could just be a lot of tension, and it's where career and relationships are not clicking. And we want to remember that the lunar nodes are very fated, very karmic. And so, yeah, this could be where, yeah, there's just a really big decision that you need to make, or that could be coming to your awareness at this time. But Virgo, April is a transformational month for you. This is about your money, your shared finances, debt, investments, relationships, emotional healing, even. So, this is a month where you are making serious decisions that could affect your future. I hope this helps you navigate the energy for the month ahead. And if you would like to book a pre-recorded reading with me, I have all that information in the description below. I structure my readings how I structure my YouTube videos. So instead of a lunar chart or monthly chart, would be your chart, whether it's your birth chart, lunar return chart, solar return chart, and I walk you through how I'm putting the pieces together. So it's not just a reading, but it is a learning and teaching tool that you can have forever. So if you would like to order one of those pre-recorded personal readings from me, you can in this description below, as well as I am currently building the cosmic community on Patreon. I will have exclusive content on there, as well as bonus episodes to the podcast, Adina's Diary, which if you have not checked out the podcast, make sure you do so, especially if you are healing or recovering from toxic relationships, narcissistic abuse. This is something that I am talking about on my podcast. I'm telling my story and in hopes to help others so that nobody ever has to feel alone, because I've been through some crazy things, which I talk about on the podcast. And I want to create a safe space for others going through the same. So on Patreon, on the Cosmic Circle, I will have bonus episodes for the podcast, as well as PDF guides on certain things and other support tools to help in navigating healing and recovery from these types of relationships. You can listen to the podcast on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts. It's even right here on this channel on YouTube. So check it out if if that aligns with you. And also don't forget to subscribe and like this video. And I will connect with you in the next one. Have a fabulous month, Virgo.